Allahu Akbar. So the Quran swears by the Mawaqi' an-Nujum, but also that means the positions of the verses in the Quran. Now we use وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ. By the heavens they are guided, by the stars. And so the heavens up there are the guide for our outward journey in the land, to our destinations on land and sea. We use the stars. And even, and I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning for those who've never heard the story. I was on a British Airways flight to England, and they have that little screen in front of you. It tells you where you are. And I saw the planes over Denver, Colorado. I almost passed out because I was coming from San Francisco going to London. So I ran to the stewardess. I said, "We're way off course." And she's like completely panics and literally almost, I think, runs and goes to the telephone, calls the cabin, So she comes back and she says, no, it's okay. The captain said it's all right. So I go sit down. I'm wondering why we're going over Colorado. We should be over Alberta or something in Canada. And so a few minutes later, she comes back and she says, the captain would like to, this is before 9/11 when you could do these things. She said, the captain would like to see you in the cabin. So I go up there and come in. And it was one of those nice big cabins where they had actually a seat. And he says, have a seat. So I sit down. And it was at nighttime. And he says to me, are you a pilot? And I said, no. He said, how did you know we were off course? And I said, well, I know the Great Circle route to Mecca. You go over close to the North Pole, and that's the way generally they travel to England from San Francisco by the Great Circle. So when I saw you're over Colorado, I'm just wondering, what's going on? He said, no, that's true, because we actually have two routes. And he said, in the winter time, we go over the North Pole, but in the summertime, we go the Loxodromic route, which is a compass route. And he said, although it's longer, there's a jet stream that we get into, so we save time and fuel. So we actually get there faster with less fuel expended. And that's why we're going that way. And so then we had a conversation. And then I asked him, I said, listen, if you lost all the GPS and you lost your bearings, what would you do? And this is a true story. He turned out the lights in the cabin. The cabin went completely dark. And the stars all came out. And he just said, we've always got the stars. And that is the reality, that in the end, that's how we find our coordinates. It's celestial by our outward journey and by our inward journey. So the Mawaqi' an-Nujum are the places of the verses, because the verses are nujum. And ashabi kan-nujum, my companions are like stars. So stars are the things that you guide. They're the lights in the darkness. And so these verses are the things that guide you. But just like the night sky needs constant observation to learn it. You have to go out, and if you go out initially it looks all jumbled. Just like people who look at the Quran who aren't used to the Quran, they think, what is this book? It's changing order all the time. It's talking about this and it's talking about that. It's jumbled. A lot of Western people, that's their response to the Quran. They don't feel that there's patterns. But the more you penetrate the Quran, the more the patterns emerge. Just like as you look up into the night sky for the first time, it's just a jumble of stars. There's no patterns. But then suddenly you start, oh, hey, look at that one. That was there last night. And now it's a little different. And if you went out your whole life, you would see, you could work out, just like the ancients. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just study astronomy and learn from the people that went before you. Just like a lot of what we can know about the Quran is already been done by the astronomers of the Quran, who are the mufassirun. They're the ones that went every night. I mean, they were all night with the Quran, reading it and thinking about it and reflecting on it, and all these patterns emerged. And that's why you have these great tafsirs like Fakhruddin al-Razi or Imam al-Biqai and many of them. Ibn Zubair, amazing book on tanasub al-ayat, how the ayat are all related to each other.